Do you ever feel that deep, burning ache inside, the one that whispers there's more for you, more within you, more waiting to come alive through you? It's not just a fleeting thought, it's a signal, a calling, a spark in the dark, asking to be fanned into a blazing fire. That's where the journey begins, not in a moment of confidence, but in the quiet, aching moments of restlessness. This is where radiance is born, not handed to you, not given freely, but forged by your own courage to rise and see what you're really made of. You are not here to dim, you are not here to shrink, you are not here to walk halfway and settle for safe. There's a light inside you that has been patient for too long. And if you've ever wondered why the world hasn't fully seen you yet, it's not because you're not ready, it's because you've been waiting for someone to show you the map. But the truth is, there is no map. There's only movement, breath, decision, and fire. You are the journey, and the coach you've been waiting for is already within. The Radiance Journey isn't about perfection, it's about permission. Permission to show up imperfect but fully present. To be messy but magnificent. To be unsure but still unstoppable. Radiance isn't something that suddenly appears when life gets easier, when you feel more confident, or when the timing seems right. Radiance is a decision you make in the moments that test you, stretch you, and demand you to rise when staying down would be easier. It's not a destination you arrive at one day with a neatly wrapped bow. It's a way of being that you choose over and over, especially on the days when the glow feels far away. You become radiant not because everything is perfect, but because you decide to stand in your power despite the imperfections. Every choice you make, how you speak to yourself, how you respond to failure, how you treat others, how you stand up after falling is shaping your radiance in real time. It's not about waiting for the light to shine down on you, it's about realizing that you are the light. So often we believe that we'll feel radiant once we lose the weight, get the job, receive the love, or finally become fearless. But that mindset is a trap. It postpones your power. It tells you to wait until you're more of something, more ready, more worthy, more put together before you show up fully. But radiance doesn't wait. It's born in the decision to show up boldly, even when you're scared, even when you're uncertain, even when you feel far from perfect. It's not about becoming someone else. It's about uncovering who you've always been underneath the fear, the doubt, the conditioning. Radiance is remembering your power and reclaiming it daily. When you decide to embody your radiance, you stop asking for permission to shine. You stop shrinking to fit in rooms you've outgrown. You stop apologizing for your light. And that decision, though internal, begins to transform your external world. You begin to attract different energy. Opportunities start showing up not because your circumstances changed, but because you changed. You began walking differently, talking differently, thinking differently. That's the power of decision. It reshapes your reality. And it's not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's in the quietest moments, the moment you decide not to speak down to yourself, the moment you walk away from something that dims you, the moment you choose to try one more time. Those tiny decisions stack up and become the architecture of your radiance. It's important to understand that deciding to be radiant doesn't mean you won't feel fear or doubt again. It simply means you don't let those emotions decide your direction. You acknowledge them, but you don't let them lead. You lead with courage. You lead with grace. You lead with a deep knowing that your glow is not conditional. It's internal. It lives within your grit, your vision, your authenticity. Radiance is a muscle. The more you choose it, the stronger it gets. And soon it becomes your default. Not because you faked it, but because you chose it enough times that it became part of your identity. Making this decision means making peace with the fact that not everyone will understand your glow. Some people will try to dim it, some people will walk away from it. That's not your burden, that's your filter. Because anyone who is meant for your journey will not only respect your glow, they will be inspired by it, they'll feel safe in it, they'll rise with it. So don't shrink to keep people comfortable, don't dim to stay accepted. Every time you choose your radiance, you're setting a new standard, not just for yourself, but for everyone watching you, silently waiting for permission to rise too. And that kind of decision, it doesn't just change your life. It starts a revolution. There comes a moment in life when you realize no one is coming to unlock the door for you, no one is arriving with the perfect plan, no one is holding the magic formula to your breakthrough. That's when something shifts, that's when the real journey begins. You stop searching outward and start turning inward, and that's when the truth hits you. You are the coach you've been waiting for. The voice of motivation, the guidance, the strategy, the fire, it's already inside you. You don't need to wait for someone to hand you a plan. You need to step into the mirror and realize the person standing in front of you is more powerful, more capable, and more ready than you've ever allowed yourself to believe. Becoming your own coach doesn't mean you never ask for help. It means you take full ownership of your journey. It means you stop placing your success in someone else's hands. It means you stop waiting for the right time, the right mood, the right person, and you start becoming the one who leads yourself with integrity, with fire, and with unshakable commitment. You stop talking yourself out of your greatness. You stop delaying your growth. You stop making excuses for why you can't, and you start finding reasons why you must. This shift is powerful because it puts you back in the driver's seat. No more passively hoping things will change. You become the change. You write your own blueprint. You create your own momentum. When you coach yourself through difficult moments, you build resilience. You learn how to navigate storms without crumbling. You speak to yourself with authority and compassion. You push yourself without destroying your spirit. You recognize your patterns and break them. You hold yourself accountable, not because someone else is watching, but because you are. You lead from within, and that inner leadership changes everything. You stop waiting for signs and start being the sign. You stop looking for validation and start giving yourself permission to rise. That's what self-coaching is. It's radical self-trust. It's the unwavering decision to believe in your potential even when the evidence isn't visible yet. There will be days when doubt creeps in, days when you want to quit, when the progress feels slow, when the dream feels far. And on those days you coach yourself. You remind yourself why you started. You remember your strength. You speak life into your vision. You refuse to give up on yourself. That's when you truly begin to transform. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. Because you stepped into the role of mentor, warrior, and guide for your own evolution. That's the level of ownership that separates those who wish from those who rise. You don't need to have it all figured out to be your own coach. You just need to be willing to be honest with yourself, to ask the hard questions, to tell yourself the truth even when it's uncomfortable, to stay aligned with your vision even when it gets lonely. You stop waiting for someone to save you because you realize you were never broken. You were just waiting to wake up. And once you do, there's no going back. You lead yourself differently. You speak to yourself with a higher standard. You show up not just for the world, but for you. You carry yourself with intention. You treat your time, energy, and mind like sacred ground. And that changes the way you live. That changes the way you dream. That changes what you accept and what you demand. Because once you realize you are the coach, the excuse maker dies. The story of not being ready dies. The victim mindset dies. And in its place, a new version of you is born, fierce, focused, on fire. You don't just walk the Radiance journey, you lead it. You guide yourself with wisdom, with love, with power. And from that space, anything is possible. Fear is a constant in life. It doesn't vanish just because you set big goals, dream bigger dreams, or declare that you want to live a radiant life. It's always there, lingering in the corners, whispering doubts, feeding insecurities, reminding you of every past failure and every imagined future one. But here's the truth. Fear only has power when you make it your leader. The moment you let purpose take the lead, fear becomes background noise. It doesn't disappear, but it loses its control. Purpose is what steadies your hands when they shake. It's what keeps your feet moving when the path feels uncertain. It's what whispers keep going when everything else screams give up. And when you're rooted in purpose, you don't need every step to be clear. You just need to take the next one. Most people wait for the fear to fade before they begin, but fear doesn't fade until you act. It shrinks in response to your courage. Every time you move forward with purpose, even in fear, you weaken fear's grip. You reclaim your power. You remind yourself that you're bigger than your doubts. Purpose is the anchor that holds you steady when everything around you tries to pull you under. It's not a mood or a motivation. It's a decision to live by something deeper than comfort. It's the fire that burns when the applause stops, when the results stall, and when the journey gets hard. Because it will get hard. Growth is hard. Change is hard. But what's harder is staying stuck in a life that doesn't light your soul on fire. When you're led by fear, your world becomes small. You second-guess every move. You play it safe. You avoid risk. You avoid failure. But you also avoid life. You avoid joy. You avoid growth. You avoid the very experiences that shape your radiance. Fear will always offer you the easy way out. But purpose will always call you to rise, to go deeper, to become stronger. It doesn't promise comfort. It promises expansion. And sometimes that expansion hurts. It stretches you. It exposes your limitations. But that's exactly where the transformation happens. Not in the safety of the known, but in the fire of the unknown. When your actions are fueled by purpose, you become unstoppable. Not because things get easier, but because you refuse to be shaken by temporary setbacks. You stop letting fear dictate your pace. You stop letting failure define your worth. You stop looking for guarantees and start building your own path. Purpose makes your journey meaningful even when it's messy. It gives weight to your struggles. It gives context to your pain. It gives value to your process. Because now every challenge isn't just an obstacle, it's part of the mission. It's part of who you're becoming. And the best part? When you lead with purpose, you inspire others to do the same. You give others permission to stop living small. Your courage becomes contagious. Your resilience becomes a roadmap. Your glow becomes proof that it's possible to live from truth rather than fear. You're no longer just moving for yourself, you're moving for every soul that needs to see what it looks like to live free. And that's a power fear can never match, because fear isolates, purpose connects, fear paralyzes, purpose activates, fear dims the light, purpose makes it shine even brighter. So the question is not whether fear will show up. It will. The question is who will lead. Will you follow the fear that keeps you in the same cycles, or will you trust the purpose that keeps calling you forward? Every time you choose purpose over fear, you build a life that reflects your truth, your strength, and your radiance. And that is a life worth showing up for every single day. There is something profoundly powerful about watching someone live in their truth. It's not just inspiring, it's activating. When someone rises in their light, it gives others silent permission to rise too. That's the ripple effect of radiance. Your glow is not just about you, it's about the lives you touch simply by choosing not to dim. Every time you decide to honor your journey, to speak your truth, to show up fully, you become a silent leader. You become the proof that it's possible. And even when no one says it out loud, someone is watching. Someone is being moved by your courage. Someone is finding their voice because you found yours. This is why your radiance matters. Not because of how it looks, but because of how it leads. People don't need perfect role models. They need real ones. They need to see someone who has felt the fear and moved anyway. Someone who has been broken and still built something beautiful. Someone who has stumbled, struggled, and still decided to show up again. That's what inspires. That's what ignites. When you live authentically, you create a space where others feel safe to do the same. You become a mirror reflecting what's possible. Your glow reminds people of their own. That's the kind of power you hold, not in force, but in presence, not in noise, but in truth. When you rise for every version of you that was once silenced, forgotten, or overlooked. And in doing that, you rise for others too, for the people who are still stuck, still waiting, still afraid to take that first step. Your rise becomes their roadmap. You become the walking evidence that transformation is real, that growth is real, that healing is possible. You don't have to preach it, you just have to live it. Your energy speaks louder than words. Your consistency, your integrity, your passion, those things shine, and they draw others into their own awakening. This is the beauty of the Radiance Journey. It starts as a personal commitment, but it evolves into a collective awakening. You may think you're just healing yourself, just chasing your dream, just standing in your light, but in truth, you're doing something so much bigger. You're shifting energy around you. You're disrupting generational patterns. You're breaking cycles. You're elevating what's possible, and others feel it. Even if they can't explain it, they sense it. Because real glow isn't surface deep, it's soul deep. And when someone walks into a room fully aligned with who they are, it changes the entire frequency of that space. Your radiance becomes a movement, quiet at first, maybe even unnoticed. But over time it grows, it spreads, it reaches people in ways you'll never fully see. A word you spoke that echoed in someone's mind for weeks. A post you made that gave someone the courage to try again. A decision you made that reminded someone they could choose differently too. That's the legacy. That's the impact. Not in the numbers, not in the applause, but in the invisible shifts your presence creates. That's what it means to be a light. So the next time you question your journey, the next time you wonder if it matters, remember this: someone out there is holding on because you didn't give up. Someone is becoming stronger because you chose to be seen. Someone is changing their story because you dared to live yours. This is why you rise, not for perfection, not for validation, but for the quiet revolution. Your radiance begins in hearts you'll never meet. And that is the kind of power that lasts. That is the kind of impact that echoes. That is the kind of glow that never fades.